Hello everybody, this is Alex Peel from Sonic Stadium. I'm here today with Joe Neate, a producer for Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. The game has removed SEGA from the title. Will the Sonic franchise have an increased presence in this game, or is it just a name change?
I think the name change is like, aside from the amount of Sega kind of stuff that's in there, and the amount of Sonic stuff that's in there, it's a decision that was made by guys at Sega that I wasn't really kind of privy to. But it doesn't kind of, well, it shouldn't reflect on the amount of Sega content or not. So.
All right, could you tell us a little bit about the transformations? What do they add to the game? How do they change the strategy for SASR players?
So we control when the player transforms, and what it adds is it allows us to have basically three very different types of gameplay. So we've obviously got the classic Sonic drifting and driving, or sorry, the SSR drifting and driving on the land section, but on the boating and on the flying, it basically allows us to have three very, very distinct forms of transport, and it also allows us to bring in some IPs that we couldn't have in the last game because they just didn't suit it. So Panzer Dragoon that we've seen today at this event is something that made sense for us totally, because we all love the IP, we wanted to get it in, and so when we've got flying, it's like, let's fly with dragons, everybody wants to fly with dragons, so we put it in, and and there's water sections and that as well, so it just makes sense for us to have the three services. So it allows us to introduce some really interesting IPs that we couldn't have had before as well.
Now, Mario Kart 7 debuted water and air sections in its franchise last December. How is Transformed different from Mario Kart 7?
Well, Mario Kart 7 is it's a kart game at heart, right? With the additions of gliding sections rather than kind of fully 3D kind of flying, where you can fly for as long as possible and go up and down. And it's driving underwater. It's not boating. Whereas we've got three very distinct sections of kind of gameplay in our tracks, which are. It's proper boating, it's proper flying, where you're fully in control. So it's just, I don't know, their one is kart games with additions, and I think ours is three different kind of modes of game within one, and obviously the vehicles transform between themselves. So it's pretty different, and I think it's all about the hands-on. It's easy to be cynical, because of the comparisons, right? It's easy to be cynical, but when like you say yourself, when you get hands-on and you play the game, you'll see just how different it is, and I think how well it stands apart from Mario Kart. But there'll always be comparisons, because at the end of the day, we're kind of we're in the same genre. I think ours is more skill-based. Our weapon system is all about you can avoid and you can defend against weapons, and it's all player skill will go a long way to kind of deciding the race. The better players will win more races in our game. So yeah.
But
there isn't a blue shell.
But one issue I remember from SASR was that the motorcycles always had a tendency of getting ahead of everybody else, and if someone got far enough ahead, the race was pretty much over.
Okay.
Is that pretty much going to remain how it is?
We haven't experienced that in our gameplay test so far. We know it was a problem in the last game, and we'll be keeping a close eye on that. But we think we've got the kind of levers, and our weapon system will be much improved. And so the plan is to avoid that kind of thing happening, where the race is kind of ruined by that kind of thing. So yeah, we plan to avoid that happening. Absolutely.
Can we anticipate new Sonic characters in Transform?
You can anticipate. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure I can confirm or deny that at the moment, but there are new characters, absolutely, that we haven't seen today. Whether they're Sonic or Sega, I don't think I can confirm, but there were definitely new characters.
Now, I'm building on that. Will all the Sonic characters from the last game be making a return?
I can't confirm nor deny that at this stage.
All right, and whether or not there may be any obscure characters.
Well, I think there will be some that will please people in terms of their kind of obscurity, or not sure that's the right word, but the kind of niche kind of appeal. Yeah, absolutely.
What consoles can you confirm?
We can confirm PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, 3DS, and Vita at this stage, and there will be more information about other platforms in kind of due course.
And will there be any new game modes?
Any new what, sorry?
Any new game modes beyond?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, categorically they will. Because we've got the 3 different surfaces, it allows us much more scope to have really interesting ones based just around flying or just around water. So it just, absolutely, that's one of the big bonuses of having these 3 game modes is that we can do some really interesting stuff.
So what made you decide to go with Transformed as this game's big, I don't want to say gimmick, but gameplay element?
It just seemed to make sense to take it from just karting, to push the whole genre forward and make 3 different game modes. It allows us so much more variety on all the tracks and all the different game modes. And transforming vehicles are cool, right? And it's just a really... I think it just makes the game so much more varied and adds a lot of variety from last time, while still retaining the kind of core ethos of the game, which is all about kind of drifting and driving skill and kind of and obviously all the different IPs and stuff. So it just seemed like the logical step forward to make a proper sequel rather than just a kind of churned out one, which was the same game with new tracks. So.
Now this is probably a stupid question, but it's something I'm a little curious about.
Yeah.
Will the waves in the game's water areas be random? So, like the jumping areas, will that be random or scripted?
A mixture of both, actually. We have full control over the kind of wave system. So currently in Pan's Lagoon, there's 2 kind of big event waves which happen. So when the bridge collapses, you get this massive wave that comes up the track, and when the shell cube fires its laser kind of into the water, it causes this massive kind of tidal wave. But aside from that, there's a number of other different waves which are just kind of playing, and the water's just kind of reacting kind of naturally. So with the whole barrel roll technique that you have, like if you see a kind of just a swell coming, you can ride up the side of it, take a jump, do a barrel roll, get a boost. So it's all about picking the kind of the best line dynamically through the track as it stands. So yeah, it's a mixture of just general kind of waves and specifically triggered ones. So we have total control over that. So it's both. Basically.
Okay, and can you tell us anything about how the PS3 and Vita versions will interact?
I don't think I can go into specifics on that at this stage, unfortunately.
And the final question.
Yep.
Will there be any guest characters?
We are in discussions about that kind of stuff at the moment with SEGA and with other parties, but I think there'll be some interesting stuff coming out of those discussions at some stage soon. But again, nothing confirmed right now. But.
And sorry, one more thing. Toe Jam and Earl.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Have you made any progress with them?
I can't confirm or deny at this stage, but it was obviously a pretty challenging thing last time. So it is what it is right now. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Joe, for sitting down with us.
No worries. Thank you very much.
We really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.